Hi, I'm Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading. Is the Forex market changing? Do you notice anything different in the price action that you're experiencing now? It's early July of 2025 when we've come through some very dramatic political issues between countries, a war, and economic conditions, high interest rates throughout the world. All of this taking place in the last 3 or 4 years is bubbling up now and manifesting itself right now. So have you noticed that that's affected the currency market? If you have, and you haven't been successful, then there may be a reason for that. And it's not that the market is changing. The market isn't changing. The market may be experiencing one of its more volatile periods, but you can certainly go back 6 weeks and find volatile periods in 6 years. But something's different. What's different? Well, as traders, when we develop our trading plan and the system or methodology or whatever it is that we're going to use to make decisions to hit bid ask, we base those bid ask decisions on our view of the market and our ability to interact with that market. And how do most people do that? They do it by system. When the short MA crosses the long MA, you go long. If it's an upward movement, London Open, RSIs, Bollinger Bands, and lions and tigers and bears, oh my. So you develop a view of the Forex market through the lens of the indicators that you're using. And because the market is such a random mosh pit of activity, when that activity goes outside of the boundaries of the particular system that you're using, for example, one of the major systems is a trend following system. Now there's 42 different ways that you can play a trend, but basically you call it a trend, and there are systems that follow the trends. Well, we're not seeing the trends right now. We're seeing dramatic jumps in prices and then stagnation with prices ranging in a 200 or 300 range for a while, and then dropping 200 or 300 pips and then going up 500 pips. So doesn't that throw your ability to trade those markets? Because the indicators that you have used in the past have been geared for, let's say, that trend following pattern. If you haven't been trading very long and you happen to be trading a system that works during that period, when that system ceases to work, your trading goes to shit. So, well, Peter, then we'll just change the system. And that's what you'll start seeing a lot of the folks that are putting out so-called education is that, oh, well, the market is changing, so I have to change the way that I do things. Oh, I've got this new way of doing something. And so instead of doing it this way, now we're going to do it this way. Do you know how difficult that is to follow and to make sense of when you have less than 3 or 4 years of trading where you can make up your own mind as to what you want to do? Because there's nobody out there that's saying, well, wait a minute. Why don't we develop a set of rules that are agnostic to the market conditions? They react to the price action that's happening right now, not Bollinger Band fantasies or Fibonacci's or RSI's that are trying to tell you what to do. And that's the conclusion that I came to. And again, not to tout what my background is, but BS in physics, almost a minor in math, 33 years as a software engineer, designing complex business applications, solving problems, and 40 years of real estate investment. So in doing all of those things and having a business before and starting business and being an advisor for people that have done businesses and stuff, small business, little stuff. I'm not a financial planner or anything like that. Just, somebody wants to know how to buy a house. I say, well, look at the roof and look at the basement foundation. And if those two things are good, great. Here's the next series of things that you'll look at. If neither one of those are any good, either one of those are no good, we're not looking at the house. It just, how do you make this stuff simple? And so that's what I look at when I'm going to solve problems. And I started looking at the FOREX market in 2007 as an academic exercise because I was still involved in real estate. I was still working as a software engineer. And I'm interested, because of my physics background, I'm just interested in how shit works. And so from 2007 to 2012, all I did was simulation analysis and building models and comparing live price action to the models that I was building and things like that. I opened a couple of mini accounts. I lost both of those. And I thought, well, I don't have enough education for actual trading. My education is academic. I must need more information. So I took some courses and I started looking at the trading information that was the people that were teaching trading over the internet, doing talking head shit like I do, and developing my view of the market based on that. Instead of taking responsibility for myself and figuring it out because I have the capability to do that, I abrogated that responsibility to all these other people. When I wanted to learn how to do something in real estate, I could go to somebody and ask them, and they'd say, oh, well, this is what you do. These are the steps that you go in, and these are the two people you're going to need to talk to. And it was all legit. But that was not the case in trading Forex. And I took courses, and I studied hundreds of videos. And quite frankly, the level of someone's ability to educate is minuscule, maybe in comparison to their ability to actually do something. It does me no good if someone's able to be 22 months of continuous profits in trading Forex or have made $20 million or 800,000 or some big number, is no guarantee that they're going to be able to teach it to me. And I'm a pretty smart guy. And none of that stuff really made any sense. But I studied it and I said, well, these are the guys that are doing it, and they must be using this stuff in order to make their trading successful. So in 2018, 19, something like that, I opened a $45,000 account, and within 4.5 months or so, lost $40,000. Gee, that worked out really good. Why did that happen? I took these courses, I followed this stuff, I had the trading plans and all this stuff set up exactly the way that you're listening to it in video land. And I lost $40,000. I stepped back from it and I said, well, it's not me. It must be the education that I have consumed. That's the only excuse that I could come up with because it wasn't me. I'm too versed in these things to have failed because I can follow directions and I can map things out. I said, let me throw all that away. Let's start over again the same way I would as a software engineer when being presented by a client with their user requirements for the application that they need to have built. And there were some complex ones that I was involved in working on. I threw everything out that I had learned. And I came to the conclusion in 15 minutes that I was solving the wrong problem. I was being told to solve the wrong problem. I figured out what the problem was that I should be solving. I broke that problem into 3 minor problems that are sequentially arranged that I call the life cycle of a currency position. In each one of those problems, I wrote 1 rule to solve each problem. I had 3 rules. Each rule has from 2 to 4 conditions. If all of the conditions for that rule aren't met, then the rule fails. For example, in the entry rule, I have 4 conditions. If any one of those 4 conditions is false, and they are in sequential order of execution, if any one of those 4 conditions is false, I don't take the trade. I'd go get a cup of coffee. It's really simple. Now, building those rules was complicated and difficult, but my background allowed me to see through the clutter and to be able to do that. Because after I came to those rules, 15 minutes to find those rules, 2018, 19, whatever they were. I've been using those same rules in the life cycle of a currency position ever since then. And again, this is July of 2025. They haven't changed. And I've been through every market condition 4 times over that you can conceive of. And those rules have not changed. And the only reason I've lost money is because of my real estate background, where the risk management is so different and it's so built into my DNA, I just can't help myself and I lose many times. But that's okay. I know that I'm successful when I trade, and as long as I'm moving along and doing my thing, I can do fine. I just have to be very hyper alert for when that real estate mindset starts to grip me. I go up and I got to close out of everything, because I won't be able to resist that. I know I won't. And so I just close out everything and go have a cup of coffee. And when I don't close out of them, I lose a lot of money. A couple of years ago, I lost over 6 figures trading because I broke those rules. I didn't follow my rules, and I was wrapped up in the risk management rules of real estate. But that's my problem. That's not your problem. So, and if you do have one of those problems, and we go through what I call the fast track course, we'll be able to figure that out. And I'll be able to say, oh, okay, well, we need to make sure that your rules contain conditions that are hyper alert to that particular thing that you are susceptible to. I've had to adjust the input that I put into my conditions. I haven't changed the conditions, but I changed the input that goes in. In other words, what data needs to go into that rule in order for the conditions to answer the questions. So I just changed some of the data that goes in, that's all. Didn't have to change the rule. Just had to rethink what data elements were going to go in. After I wrote those rules down in 2019 or 20 or whenever it was that I was started back in trading and using those rules, I had $5,000 left. I just about doubled that $5,000 in 4.5 months. I was within $200 of doubling that in 4.5 months. And then I added, as I said many times in my videos, another $10,000 to the account. And that went along fine. I added another $50,000 to the account, and that went along fine, and I went on from there. And I haven't changed those rules since then. So I have a hard time understanding somebody who's an experienced trader who's telling you that they're changing, they have a new way, a new thing that they're going to work on, this new magic combination of indicators or something that's going to allow them to trade. Well, that's just a system, and the system breaks. If you're doing a golden cross, short MA cross long MA, that's great in a moderate or long-term trending thing. But if you try to do golden cross in a range-bound price, you're going to lose. You're going to get chopped up. How do you know when, if you learn this stuff in a trending environment, for example, and it goes into a range-bound, when are you going to figure out that it's a range bound that's causing that? You're just losing. And because you're interacting on that range bound and you're using those signals, you're going to lose a lot of money before you finally go, if you have the experience to say, oh, I'm in a range bound and I got to stop trading. Well, I don't want to stop trading because all I know is this trend thing. It's the same thing as if you learn in a range-bound a price action and all of a sudden it goes into a trend. You won't know what to do. And you won't be able to figure that out because you're using somebody else's system. You're abrogating your responsibility to develop your own rules to somebody else to tell you what to do. It's one of the hardest things that I have to do in working with a student who is involved in my fast track course. But the hardest thing that I have to do is not teach somebody how to make the trading simple, because that's the whole premise of the fast track course. It's fast and it's simple. And you are in a 6-week period of time. Generally it takes 4 weeks to finish all the stuff that you need to do. And then we're constantly going into the market and we're trading and we're looking at metrics and trying to look at the metrics. And this is how you fix this problem by looking at this metric. Let's focus on this metric. Help that metric, do whatever you can. Magically, the thing changes. I've had people go from losing 20% of their account to making 8 to 15% a month, just by changing certain things that they're doing wrong. That the rules show you immediately why you're not being successful. So the hardest thing that I have as an educator in working with a new student that comes into fast track program is getting them to cleanse their brain of all this crap out there and all the information. Jesus, I come and I talk to some of these guys and they're spouting off fundamental analysis and complicated technical analysis, and I do this and I do this, and when the bunny hops this way and it's Tuesday, then this is the thing I do, and blah, 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 blah. It's unbelievable the amount of information that they have. Well, that's great, because as soon as I start talking about the simplicity of everything and pointing to the important nodes that are within the information they already have, they say, that's all I need to know? Yeah, these 7 things, that's all you need to know. Now we can put those things into an ordered set so that you don't have a matrix disaster in front of you, a decision matrix problem in front of you, and we're going to step through the simplicity of the life cycle of a currency position. Boom, takes about 4 weeks to do that. I had some be able to get through it in 2 weeks, but the course is 6 weeks because I'm spending my time with you, hours and hours and hours. That's what the course is all about. I'm an educator. I know how to take this process, and it's not a system, it is a process, and turn it into process-oriented trading using simple conditions and rules that facilitate good risk management. That's it. That's all you have to know. Well, it's really complex if you're looking at this vast amount of information that you already have, that people have said, oh, you need to know all this stuff. You need to know these 400 terms. You need to know these 5 different ways. You have Bollinger Bands, trends, scalping, doing swing trading. Let's look at when the NFP is coming out. We'll trade fundamental analysis. And when the interest rates in this country change and those go down, you need to know that, and the economic conditions and all this horseshit. And no wonder you're confused and you're not successful. Am I shitting you by saying that it's much simpler than that and it's so easy? I'm trying to make a come on to you to join my course so I can teach you some shit that you could have read on the back of a cereal box? No. It is really that simple, and it really works if you work through it. But I'm not trying to sell you a course. So that's okay. I'm not running a consulting business. I'm 76 years old. I made $1 million in real estate. I'm retired. And I'm not trying to make $1 million trading currencies. I have nothing to prove. That's why I lost all that money. It was like trying to make $1 million instead of following my rules. I would have made $1 million if I would have followed my rules. So I know that I can, but I don't need to go to that next level of risk management because I don't have to. You know, in several of the examples that I have given about my own personal trading, there have been a couple of years where I've been 80% up against my risk going into the 4th quarter. So in 3 quarters, I've made 80% return on my account. And this is a figure account, and it isn't just 100 grand. It's 6 figures. I'm trading 20, 30 lots position size. And looking at the 80% up going into that fourth quarter, well, Peter, what happened in the fourth quarter? Ha! I swung for the fence. And I did it at the wrong time, and I didn't get out when it went against me. Pretty simple. And I lost that 80% that I had made, or most of that, but ended up the year 46% up at one time, and I think it was 30% up for the year the other time when I ran up there. The other years I was up 60% and 40% and stuff like that, and then I'd come down and I made 10 and so it's all proportional because of the size of the accounts. So can you make big money trading 10 to 1 without the 500 to 1 and the 100 to 1 and all that crazy stuff that is adverse risk management? Yes, you can. And it's much simpler than what other people are alluding to. Because it's simple, and because the conditions are based on the order flow and the price action, which is the information that you input into the rule, that makes it so simple to trade. The market can change, but your trading doesn't have to change. The results of your trading shouldn't change. They may change a little bit. You know, if the ATR, if you've been working with if you're trading on a 5-minute chart, for example, and the ATR is 5 pips, and all of a sudden you go into a really hyper-violent period where the ATR jumps to 10 pips, and you're still doing risk management of 8 pip stop, well, you know, you're going to lose an awful lot. So everything has to be taught as a process and not as a system, and that's what I keep telling my students. Don't think of this as a system. It's a process. It's a fluid process that your conditions, if you write them correctly, will be fluid and able to match the changes in the market. The market changes all the time. The market on Tuesday is different than it was on Monday. Why? Well, you figure that out, right? Well, the market then changes back again on Fridays or Thursdays. It's different. Oh, Thursday NFP comes out. The market changes. Well, what happens? It doesn't matter what happens. If the rule is concerned about what is going to happen on an NFP day, and, we don't want to trade on Tuesdays, and, well, you're not ever going to have the ability to trade. Is the Forex market changing? Yes, it is always changing. That doesn't mean that it's changing so that you can't trade it. You might not be able to trade it if it's out of your awareness zone. You simply need to change the way that you think about your trading and stop worrying about what the market is doing and start worrying about what's price doing. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day and have a great trading day.